Hello everyone, this is Sam Car Legion. Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another comparison. On my left side for this comparison we have the new Nissan Sentra, and on my right side we have the recently designed 2021 Hyundai Elantra, which was kindly provided to us thanks to our good friends at Hyundai Aurora, a Hyundai dealership located in Aurora, Ontario, Canada. And guess what? Just because you're watching this video, my friends will give my viewers a promotion or discount. The only thing you have to do is click the link below to follow the instructions, and one of the sales representatives will reach out to you. And if you, of course, want to take this for a test drive, you can reach out to them through Instagram or Facebook or even their website. But for today, we're going to compare these two against each other and find out which one is the best. Now, which models do we have for this video? On my left side, the Sentra is the SR, which is not the top trim. And on my right side, we have the Ultimate. It is a top trim for Canada, but is missing a couple of features that is called the technology package, which means it's not fully loaded. For the SR, you need to upgrade to the next trim, which will give you some extra features such as a 360 view camera. You got power seats on the driver's side. Let's talk about pricing first. Which one will cost you more? Well, technically they're not too far from each other. Whether you live in Canada or United States, the Sentra starts at about $20,000. Meanwhile, the Elantra with the automatic transmission, because it offers a manual transmission, starts at about $19,000 and so. Meanwhile, the manual transmission, you're looking at about $17,000. Very competitive vehicle. Let's talk about design, since this has a new refresh look, and I have reviewed this against the older model. If you want to watch that video, the link will be in the description box to find out how this compares to the previous generation Elantra and if it's actually worth more than that generation. But today we're going to compare it against the Sentra. I like the Sentra in the front, and here's why. It has a more aggressive look. And the way this thing is spec'd out for this comparison looks really nice. You have a black roof and the white part on this side, which makes this very, very sporty. And my camera guy, as is watching him, he's nodding his head and he agrees. He likes the Sentra a bit more. I like this as well. It looks nice, but I just find it to be too out there and way too many details on the front. That is, of course, my preference. People have different preferences, but I think this looks pretty nice. And the Sentra in the front offers you fog lights, something that you're missing in here. But the Hyundai Elantra for this year has a very unique design. As you can see, the actual tail lights all the way through, and then the grille has a beautiful finish chrome with some gray colored grille, like on this side. It looks really aggressive. The other thing is that they both offer LED headlights, a feature that is found standard in most vehicles. Now, let's talk about what do they offer under the hood. Under the hood, they both offer a 4-cylinder engine. Of course, this makes 147 horsepower. The Sentra makes about 148 horsepower. The difference is that the Sentra only offers you automatic transmission, meanwhile in the Hyundai Elantra, you get a manual option or an automatic transmission, which is, of course, a huge plus. And you also pay less with the manual transmission, almost about $2,000 in Canada. That is quite impressive. Now, what do they offer in terms of space? First, let's start with the trunk, and then we're going to talk about the second row and the first row. The rear end of the Sentra is quite interesting because it is an SR trim, which is technically a sport trim. You get a cute diffuser at the bottom to give it a performance look, and on top of that you got one single exhaust, which of course it is visible. In terms of the trunk itself, press your button over here and then you open. You also have the option to hold the key fob. Through the key fob you can open the trunk. Now let's talk about space. This offers 14.3 cubic feet of space, which is 0.1 cubic feet of space more than you get in the Elantra. So it's technically not that massive difference between the two of them. And you can, of course, fold the seats in the front. Underneath here, we have a spare tire and, of course, the jack stand. Very important in cars like this. Now, what about design? Which one do I like out of these two? The rear end, I kind of like the Hyundai Elantra, and I'm going to show you why. So let's go and jump into the Elantra side. If you have ever watched the Knight Rider, it's kind of that style. Like this side goes from here into there. It extends all the way through. That is the brake light, and on top of that, this is the daylight running light. So once you turn it on, it will light up all the way through. Very smart technology. very well designed. On top of that, it looks so much more aggressive in the back. The only difference is you can't see any exhaust pipes at the bottom. So if you look around this area, you can see nothing. So it's completely hidden. For some people, that might be a bit too much. In my opinion, it looks nice, it looks pretty aggressive, and it follows the same pattern design as the front area. Now, here's the interesting part about this. The way they did it in the previous Elantra was the trunk button was located in the actual badge over here. Now they have moved it and it is visible. So you press that button and it opens up. You also can do it through your key fob. Very smart technology. And as I said, the space in here is about 14.2 cubic feet of space, which is less than a cubic feet of space compared 0.1 cubic feet of space than you find in the actual Sentra. And then you have a spare tire and of course the actual change. And of course the jack. Now to close it, it's not powered, so you just press it, but the button's located right here. And they have changed the name this time. As you can see, the A over here, it's not like a standard A. To give it a more unique design. I like this kind of shape. On top of that, this to me looks more like a sportback than in a sedan compared to the Sentra. In order to achieve such design, they had to sacrifice some things. So first of all, this doesn't offer a third window here. Meanwhile, in the Sentra, we have a third window, which I think it has a better visibility compared to that. But when I test it, once we take them for a test drive, and I'll show you exactly visibility, which one has better. Now, let's move on into the second row. I'm going to show you which one feels more comfortable. Let's start first with this. Sentra's second door doesn't offer a power handle. So in order for you to unlock it, you have to go through the front door. Now, let's try to get in. Open it. It's almost 90 degrees. It's not fully 90 degrees. So let's jump in. I have positioned the seats in the front as if I was the driver. So that way we have a fair comparison between the two of them. Okay, my head touched the bar a little here. But other than that, I feel like I'm a bit cramped here. It's a small vehicle, of course. I'm a tall guy. So that's definitely not everybody's my size. But that's just to give you an idea that if you're shorter than me, you're definitely going to fit in here nice and comfortably. Other than that, it feels nice. No power, no heated seats in the back. You can't slide this seat. You can only fold it. We have only one USB port in the center. Nothing else. Pretty standards. No panoramic roof, just a sunroof in the front. Now, let's jump into the Hyundai. Okay, that was a little bit tight. Just a little bit tight. Let's jump into the Elantra. Let me show you. The beautiful thing with the Elantra is that because they removed that window, that means this door here, it's extended. If you look carefully with the Sentra over there, the door is not as extended as this, which means this might be better to get in. Let's open it up. The seat in front is positioned in a way that's as if I am the driver. So let's try to get in. Oh, that was easy. This has definitely made a difference. This area here, and yeah, you feel a bit more comfortable in here, feels a bit more space. When with this package, the Elantra comes with beautiful leather interior. Meanwhile, in the Sentra with the SR, you don't get leather interior, but this is nice and comfortable. We don't have any power USB ports in here, like the one in the Sentra. There's nothing, you can't, and there's no cup holders in this area. It's through the armrest and center. But other than that, nice and comfortable. I feel that I have a bit more space in here compared to the Sentra, a bit more comfortable. This doesn't have a panoramic roof. It's just a standard sunroof in the front. So you can open it. But other than that, I feel that in here, I'm more comfortable. I feel more, it feels like more space in this side. Let's jump in the front, first with the Sentra as a driver, and then we'll talk about this. They both offer keyless entry. As long as you have your key fob in your pocket, you're good to go. And then you open the door, and then let's get in. Now, both don't offer any power seats. You have to manually adjust it, the recliner, and of course the seat itself, and then you can move it back and forth. The actual steering column is not powered. You have to adjust it manually, but you do have the option. On top of that, this feels normal. I don't feel cramped in here. Visibility in this area is okay. Still very, very standard. In terms of the actual area here, we have power unit for the windows. You have a child lock in here as well, and you can adjust the actual mirrors. And on top of that, this has the blind spot assist right here. So if you get close to a vehicle, this will flash Very smart technology. Very, very important nowadays. I've got used to blind spot assist, and I'm obsessed with them because they help me when I go left and right, especially in poor visibility cars. Other than that, this is nice and comfortable. We don't have the leather seats, leather interior. The only thing is the steering wheel is leather. You have these beautiful stitches around here, the orange, but no leather seat. There's a bit of a suede as well. There's a mix between suede and so on. But in terms of space, nice and comfortable. Let me come out. As you can see, the seat has a bit of suede on this area here, and then the rest of it is completely cloth. And then the center area is leather with the orange stitches. Looks really nice. Now, let's jump on to the Elantra. Let me show you how much space you get in there and what do they offer. Similar to the Sentra, keyless entry, and then you have the button located onto the side. In the Sentra, the blind spot assist is located onto the inside. In here, we have it right on in the actual windshield. It's this triangle, the warning triangle, and it flashes. It stays on once a vehicle approaches on your left or right side. Very smart technology. Again, very much wanted in every vehicle. Now, in terms of space, I feel like they're both very similar. The only difference in here, I'm sitting a bit lower, and the dashboard, it's sort of higher off the base of the vehicle. That's the only difference. Other than that, both vehicles are very, very similar. I'd say in here, you just get a bit more leg room. It's a bit more extended on this side. In terms of technology, we have the unit in here for the actual windows and the child lock as well, and then powered mirrors for left and right side. We have a Bose system in the Nissan as well, as you can see. And then on this side, we have the lane assist as well. Now, in terms of the actual steering wheel, this doesn't have a flat bottom, it's just standards. I mean, these vehicles are not high performance, they're okay, but other than that, both have leather steering. The seats in here are leather fully. And as I mentioned previously, if you want to watch a full review of this model, I've compared it to the older generation. So let's talk about tech features. First of all, this has an adaptive cruise control, slightly more advanced. There is this little steering in here that basically kind of drives the vehicle itself. It keeps you within the lane. You still have to keep your hands on the wheel legally. The actual cluster is not digital with this package. It is standard, similar to the Sentra. And then we have a small screen in here which has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now, this offers wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, something that's becoming very standard. I'm assuming Nissan will offer something on the newer generation Nissan Sentra, but in here, you just connect your phone once and you're done. We have wireless charging pad in the Sentra, something that the Sentra doesn't offer with the SR package. This package does offer, and with the technology package on this model, the Elantra, the new one, you get way more features, and of course, it is going to cost you a little bit more. Other than that, touchscreen infotainment system, very standard. This kind of looks like it was left out for the last part because you can see there's nothing shiny in here. It looks like kind of cheaply made, I must say, this part, but it's not necessarily, you know, not useful. It still does the job the way it's supposed to, but other than that, it just looks, in my opinion, they've kind of left out this area. The design in here has changed completely. I find that this offers kind of more refined system, a more refined interior. We have different driving modes similar to the Sentra as well. This is a backup camera. You don't get a 360 camera with this package. I believe with the TAC package you do. You have USB ports and so on. And then we have two cup holders in the center. Now, the cup holders in here are very interesting because you see, if you switch them, this is one way. It goes all the way to this position. Now, if you have taller cups, you switch on the other way, and then now they go all the way down. Like, that's pretty smart. The other thing that I find useful in this vehicle is, of course, this area here. They're like a driver's cockpit. You have everything you need, from heated seats to heated steering wheel, everything on this side, similar to what the Nissan Sentra offers. They both have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The only difference is that in here you connect through the Wi-Fi. You don't need cables anymore, and you just charge your phone right in the center. Some extra tech features in the Elantra that you don't find in the Nissan Sentra. Now let's jump into the Sentra. Let me show you what that offers. Now let's start in the Sentra. The start button is located into the center, and then here we go. As I said, this doesn't have a full digital cluster, but it does have a digital screen in the center to show you different notifications. You can see the actual fuel efficiency as well. Quite a lot of information. And then this area here, we have a flat bottom steering wheel to give you a more sporty feeling. The interior in here is quite interesting. This feels more sportier than luxurious compared to the Elantra, in my opinion. We have these 3 massive air vents in the front, which are very visible. In the Elantra, they're more flat, and you can't see them as much. And here, pretty visible. That's why I said this looks more sporty. Then we have the climbing unit in this area. In the Elantra, you're facing everything like this. Meanwhile, in here, everything is faced this way. So in the Elantra, everything as a driver, it's right on your face, easy to access. And here, it's kind of pointed towards this area. It's not a lot of work. Let's not be lazy, but it's definitely a difference that I noticed between the two of them. We have some space in here. We don't have a wireless charging pad with this package. And then we have a USB port because I have to connect my phone into there. 2 cup holders in the center. And then we have the actual gear knob, which I absolutely love. Instead of having an actual button or something, this has a full gear knob. Now, in terms of driving modes, we don't have anything with the Sentra. I don't see any different driving modes. It's just a standard. You only have a lower gear option and a drive mode in there. And then the steering wheel has the cruise control on one side with gap assist. We're going to test this once we take it on the road. And then on this side, we have all the units. And then the screen, it's a standard screen, touch screen, of course. It is fast. I kind of like the one that they use in the Elantra. In my opinion, is more intuitive and it's sharper. This kind of feels like a Toyota Highlander from 2020, not the newer generation. I don't think this is as good as the one in the, it's just very limited options, not a lot of settings, some settings of course, but compared to the one in the Elantra, it's just a bit outdated. Beautiful thing is that they both offer the option to turn on your camera. You can turn on your camera basically if you want to look around. Here we go, and then we go back, and then press camera. And then here we go. Now you can see and you can change all the settings. You put it in reverse, same thing. I find this to be not as sharp as the one in the Elantra. In my opinion, the Elantra has a far better backup camera. You have parking sensors in both vehicles. If you're reversing, cross traffic alert as well if there's a vehicle coming on your left or right side. Very basic technologies. Not a lot of features on both vehicles. Of course, these things don't cost like over 50 grand or so. They're still very reasonably priced, still basic features. Now, how do they drive? That is the next question. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take first the Elantra for a test drive, and then we'll take the Nissan Sentra and then show you how do these two compare in terms of driving. We'll talk about cabin noise and, of course, the driver assistant package. So let's go for a drive. Okay, so let's go for a drive, and we're taking first the Elantra. I've already driven this before, but I'll give you some of my thoughts about how does it compare to the Sentra because I've already driven that. I've compared these two vehicles quite a lot so far. Now, first thing I noticed with this, the steering feels slightly lighter in here, and it's pretty direct. Here we go. I feel like the visibility in this area, it's not as in this car is not as good as the Sentra because of that third window. I think this vehicle, it's not the best when it comes to visibility in the back. Like, it's okay, but it's not the best out of the two. I think the Sentra has better visibility in the back. But you do have the actual blind spot assist, which basically turn on once a vehicle approaches you on your left or right side of the rear side, so that way you know exactly. So you don't have to actually turn your head all the time, but it's always important to turn your head. Now let's jump into the Sentra and let me show you how the Sentra drives. First thing I noticed that this thing has actual manual handbrake, which I must say I kind of like this instead of the power handbrakes. That's just a preference, but one thing I realized is I put into drive, it didn't deactivate the handbrake, so I'm like, oh, that's manual. That's quite interesting. But let's go for a drive with this and let's talk about. First thing I talked to my camera guy here, my buddy, and is how much smaller this thing feels inside. Like we're kind of like touching each other. That's kind of sounds a bit sexual, but kind of touching like this because it's a bit tight in here. That's one thing I noticed right away as you jump in. But it's, you know, is it a huge difference? I'd say about like 10% less space in here, or maybe 10-15% or so. That's the only difference. I know it's just smaller. But this thing has quite of a pickup. Like when you put into drive mode, and there you go. It just doesn't have any sport mode or anything like that. It's just pretty, it's pretty standard. Let's do the cabin noise test. Okay, so this is quite interesting. It's 69 dB. That's higher than the Sonata. That is higher than the Elantra. 69 dB, that's pretty high. Here's one reason. One thing I noticed with this, I don't know if you agree on that, but the actual, those cracks on the road are more noticeable in here. When you drive over, it's like, you can hear them tick, 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 tick. Like it's just, you can hear a little bit more in here than you did in the Sonata. Sonata was going over them smoothly. There's like those lines on the road that I noticed that every time you went over, we drove over them, like the dB level went just up. I think the Elantra, for the money, could be the best option out of this two. I like the Elantra a little bit more. I like the exterior design of the Sentra. I like how it drives. I like how it handles. Just in the Elantra, you felt a bit more comfortable and more space in the back and in the front. With that in mind, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Which one do you like the most? Is the Elantra better than this? I like the Elantra. It offers technology. It looks good too on the inside. It looks a bit more luxurious. The exterior, I love the Sentra. The Sentra drives nicely. It feels compact, and it just feels nicer when you drive it. It feels more of a sporty drive rather than just standard. In the Elantra, I felt it was more like a boat ride, soft, that kind of thing. Many major differences between the two of them, but still, I think the Elantra for the money kind of beats the Sentra at this point, especially because it offers a manual transmission as well for fans out there that love manual transmission. With that in mind, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out Hyundai Aurora. If you are interested to take the Elantra for a test drive, they will be able to help you. Stay safe. Cheers.